We are live and in color. Ow! Yes. Yes, the champ is here. The champ is here. Intimate Discoveries, Unveiling Connections. The podcast dedicated to helping you experience meaningful relationships. Whether you are contemplating divorce, or looking for answers on the relationship that you're in right now, or if you're just curious on how to navigate the pool of dating. Intimate Discoveries can provide answers to those questions in order for you to experience the fullness of your relationships. Remember, vulnerability is the birthplace for intimate relationships. You gotta be vulnerable, and you have to have a reciprocal partner. This is Sharon Franklin, and we are live today with another hit show with our Gerald Cummings, who's bringing you the mastering of math. Let's go!
They said I wouldn't make it, but I'm here.
I'm here! Ow! Yes!
And I'm here to stay, never go down.
What'd you say, Frank?
Cause I'm a champion.
Yes, we got the author, Gerald Cummings, coming in to talk about his book. And this is a moment that you want to be here to ask questions, because we all had moments where we struggled in something. We all had our children that we're trying to help them with math, and we don't even know. But Gerald, he's going to come on and we're going to talk about it. So let's get after it. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, how you doing?
Oh, doing well. Hope everybody is doing well also.
Let's give it up for Gerald. Ow! Man, thank you. Welcome to the show, man. Before we get started, man, I love it when my folk love on me, right? I gotta let them love on me too.
Yeah, you got to.
Man, look out now. So here we go, right? We got a couple people on the thank you all so much. I love it when y'all bless me like that. We got a couple people on the show right now. I'm going to invite some of my parents. Some of them have children. Well, if you're a parent, you got to have a child, right? and we want to be able to provide a space for parents to ask questions, because I know oftentimes we don't get a handbook on how to encourage our child with math. And the handbook that if we got one, it probably wouldn't apply to our child because our child is different and they have unique needs. And so let's talk a little bit, Gerald. What's going on with you in the book?
Oh, thank you. The book is called The Move Method, a parent's handbook for your child's success in math. The reason behind the book is, as an educator and also a parent, the one thing that I have seen within the education system is very little support to parents. There's training for teachers as well as administrators to meet the expectations that are set upon them by the state or school districts. However, there's no training for parents to meet the expectations that the schools and the state put on and the school districts put on for their children. So there's a disconnect there. And what's been happening is there's a achievement gap that has been widening and widening. And with the, in the post-COVID era that we live in now, that's not being addressed. It's just kind of like the elephant in the room, and you just kind of play like it's not there. So the purpose of the book is to help parents be able to help their child with math, because we as educators are taught that we have an impact on the children that we teach. But the greatest impact that is going to be affected on a child is from the parent.
Mhm.
So the purpose of the book is to help parents maximize that impact in a positive way so that their child will thrive.
Absolutely. Well, that's good stuff. One of the things you talked about it is that gap, and parents are have to take more responsibility in closing that gap, because they're the ones who's on the front line with the child, and they're the ones who can hold the child accountable, and they know where they are and where they should be. And I think this book is a tool to help them and encourage them, so that we can close that gap. You're not gonna get it all the way to 100%, but we can at least be confident that we are addressing it, and that we are getting closer as we work together as in tandem with the teachers and with the parents and with the student, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So we
So,
have go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
We
No,
have
what I was going what
someone
I was
else
going
on
to
the
say is
line.
that
We have a parent
mhm.
who may have some questions. We want to see if she have a question, and that you can and talk to her about how she can be a better parent and helping her son or child with math.
Oh, sure. Mhm.
Are you there?
I am. Is that my cue? This is Danica. I do have questions, and I'm so excited to listen to your advice that you are willing to share today, because I do agree about your statement around no training for the parents. I am a parent of two, a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I have a rising seventh grader who is struggling in math. And one of the things that I'm looking to hear from you tonight is some of the challenges that specifically seventh grade boys, I don't know if it matters the grade level, but I am a parent that is, very involved in PTA, very involved with parent conferences, emailing teachers, but I still feel that there is a huge disconnect in my ability to impact and support my son to help him excel in math. So specifically those areas is what I'll be listening for you tonight.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. I know for seventh grade math, that's one of those grades where they have those end of grade tests. And so you will hear from your math teacher both about your child's academic progress as well as any behavioral issues, because everything affects the child's performance on that test as well as the school's um, performance on the test. And so, if I were you, it's also in the book, is to establish a good communication with your teacher. With your child's math teacher. One thing that happens is that you hear about only the bad things. You hear about when they fail in a test, or you might hear about when they have an upcoming test,
Mhm.
but nothing else. And so, unless it's something bad, and it gets all the way up to a parent teacher conference, and you don't want that. So if you're involved with, well, I won't say involved, if you're uh, talking to and communicating with your child's teacher, then that will kind of head things off at the pass. Now, the purpose of the book is not to teach parents math, because teachers teach math differently. And I've been a math teacher for a long time, but I know I don't teach it the same way as probably somebody else will teach it. So rather than put those type of techniques and strategies in the book, they might not align with what your teacher is doing. So there's a disconnect there when you're trying to show your child something, and then they're saying, "That's not the way my teacher told me how to do it." And
Absolutely.
so you get so it goes back and forth. You be like, "Well, fine, you just have to figure it out." So I took the math content out of the book. Now there's all kind of books out there for that, but they don't really help because, like I said, teachers teach differently. So you might get one of those books that says proportions for dummies or fractions for whatever, right? And so you read the book and you be like, "Oh yeah, I'm the man. I can help my child." And then when you come home, be like, "Hey, let me show you how to do it." And then they say, "That's not the way my teacher told me to do it. She just tells me to do it this way." And they start crossing stuff out and putting lines and all this kind of stuff. And what we call it is the new math, right? We call it the new math. And so it brings frustration and you don't know what to do because you feel you can't help your child. And the one thing I put in the book also is that it's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay. If you feel overwhelmed, if you feel that you have I wouldn't say that you feel that you failed your child, but you feel you don't know how to help. You know what I mean? But it's okay. It's okay to feel that way because there's never been any training on this kind of stuff. So this is where I come along, and I put some strategies in the book to help help you with that. And so getting back to your child with the seventh grade math, you just want to stay involved in what's going on and be, uh, let the school know that you're present. You said some things about how you're involved in PTA and all those type of things. That's great, but just make sure so if the school sees you and know that you're that you're one of those type of parents, then you're going to be able to get things in advance and be able to help your child before it gets too far out of hand.
Well, without giving away all of the strategies, we definitely want to get the books to understand. So, specifically on that note, that is definitely one of the major disconnects that I feel is you're right. We learned math differently. So, when my son comes home and it's time to do homework, it doesn't help me to be able to support him when I can't help him get it done because, obviously the teacher is not going to tell me what they did that day in math. And if he's struggling to do a worksheet, I can't say to him, "Oh, well, don't worry about it. Just wait till you get to class tomorrow." Right.
Right,
So, in those ways, how do we empower them to be able to still be able to feel like we're able to support them without allowing, I watch a child at dinner time struggle doing a homework worksheet and feel defeated. And then, of course, not to frustrate him because I'm trying to explain it to him the way I know how to do it. Right.
right.
And I imagine that's probably one of the biggest thing I hear amongst the other moms as well. So it's one thing to
Right.
be connected, but it's another thing to be able to actually, we still have to get homework done.
Yeah, that's true. You have to get the homework done, but the main thing is the level of understanding. Okay, so if you're able to help your child understand a little bit, or be able to let's just, I hate to use uh, a generalized term, but so we'll say that your child doesn't have any diagnosis whatsoever, right? They're not learning disabled or anything like that. Okay. So in other words, there's there shouldn't be anything that should prevent them from understanding what the teacher is saying. So if that's the case, there's one of two things that are probably going to happen, which is one, you might not have a teacher that can teach well. You know what I mean? Not all teachers can teach well. Um, and also, if the content is too much, from from all other type of aspects your child could kind of like, check out. So what you can do is relate the content to real life, but when you relate it to real life, it has to be relevant, right? When teachers are teaching, like, I don't know, area, they'll say something like, well, you're going to be buying a house one day and you're going to need to buy the carpet. So you need to know how much area it is in your living room, so you know how much square footage of yard of carpet you need to buy.
Mhm.
That makes sense. But if your child is in the seventh grade, they're not thinking about buying, carpet and trying to remember this in the seventh grade to when they get older. You know what I mean? So it's not relevant to them.
Right.
And so, so coming up with those relevant things, so to make the child um, see, the importance of it in the moment, then that will um, what's the word? That will, for lack of a better word, inspire the student to pay more attention in class, because they'll feel that it's important, rather than just be gibberish that that the teacher's just saying and they gotta be there, but they see something that's important, right? And so those things, you can do it that way. I don't want the parents to feel frustrated because they can't teach their child the math. You're not supposed to teach your child the math. That's the teacher's job, right? The same way, it's not my job as a teacher to raise your child. I'm just supposed to just teach them. Right now, yeah, I gotta, I might give them some other skills and stuff, some life skills, things like that. But most of that stuff is supposed to come from the parent. So if you're doing that, which it sounds like you are doing, then you're empowering the child to uh, reach their full heights. So you just have to do things that way. I would, try to find some things that are relevant. We've been on the earth twice as long as our children, so that we have, a lot more experience. So when it comes to those type of things that your child is doing, you can be like, oh yeah, okay, well, let me tell you about this. And then they'll be like, oh wow, mom is smart. And they'll be able to relate it and do it, and be empowered to do it.
Gerald, you bring a very good point. I'm sorry to interrupt. Well, I interrupted, so my I interrupted. The thing is that you talked about making something relevant, and I was watching this show where the teacher was saying, "Can you relate this to an orange? Relate this subject to the orange." And so when we talk about math, you having an orange, and you're like, "Can you tell me what's the diameter of this orange? How round is this orange? What's the diameter of this orange?" And so we can
Mhm.
say that we take a rule and we measure the half of it, in order to, if that's just the radius. Now, in order to get the diameter, you got to multiply that times two, because you didn't do the whole half, the whole side of orange, and then you multiply that by 3 times 3.14. Then that gives you the area of the actual orange.
Right.
And that's something that it's like you say, bringing it relevant. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I could tell how big the orange is.
How big an
Right,
orange is? Right. Mhm.
right.
Right. Mhm.
So that's good stuff.
Right. And so this is the one thing that I say, in the book, is that parents have the most impact on their child. Okay, parents have the most impact on their child. If they see that their parent is engaged, and they see that there is a structured environment, children positively respond to structure in structured environments. It's adults that don't, but children respond positively in structured environments. So when they see that, and they know that their parents have their back, they're empowered when they go to school to try, because that's all we want as educators. See, I wrote the book coming from two places. I am a parent of 5 children, my oldest being 25, my youngest being 10, right? And I've been an educator for over 20 years. And so, as an educator, we just want our children in the class to be willing to try. So, what we as educators should be doing is creating a safe place for the child to try, right? We don't want the child to try and get the wrong answer and they're being ridiculed and laughed at, or they get an answer wrong on the test and they get a big red X. Then you just killing the child's confidence. They're not going to try, right? And so, but if you're doing other things to encourage them to try, be like, okay, well, you didn't get all of them right, but you got three of them right. You know what I'm saying? Next time, let's try for, four of 'em right. You know what I mean? And so, if you're doing those things as a teacher, then then the child in the class, the student in the class will be willing to try. And if you're a good teacher and you got a class full of students willing to try, then you're gonna be the best teacher in the school
Mhm.
because everybody's trying, literally trying. And so, and if you're a good teacher, if you got people trying, you're gonna win every time. So that's what the book is about. The book is about creating safe places, motivating your child, um, and and there's also a part in there, recognizing that the child might need extra help. So getting a tutor, or getting extra materials, things like that, accessing social media videos, things like that. All those type of things are in the book as well, because you have to you have to provide the support for your child. If you don't know the math, that's fine. There's a whole bunch of other people out there that do, and so you can use those resources as well. And then, but your child feels safe at home to ask questions, and you're talking to the teacher, and they're trying in class. So all that is going to converge to your child's better performance in math. Because I don't want parents feel frustrated every day about how this is new math and they can't do it, and they don't know how to help. You're not supposed to. You know what I mean? You're really not supposed to, because that's my job. So, and that's your teacher's job. You're just supposed to just, if you can help them, then okay. But if you can't, you just motivate them to try, and they might need to ask more questions when they go back to school tomorrow, things like that. But and then you might need to search on the internet for different things and be like, ooh, maybe this will help, maybe that'll help. So doing those things, and you're checking behind to make sure that they're doing things, and you're empowering them when they go off to school, then you got a child that's gonna, the sky is the limit on their performance.
Well, you also brought up another topic that I wonder is, do you have a section in your book dedicated around empowering boys or young individuals in math who do suffer from disabilities, specifically ADHD?
Yes, I have. There's a section in the book on ADHD, but mostly related to math anxiety and test anxiety.
Yep,
Um,
you hit it on the head.
because those are, math anxiety and test anxiety are real things.
Real.
Some people try to say, "Oh, you just lazy, don't want to try," but no, there are documented cases
Yep.
of kids. They panic when they come into math class. We haven't even done any math, and they already panicking. Now, some people it's more evident than others. And then test anxiety is a thing. There have been plenty of times that I have taught class and the kids are doing great on the homework, great on the review, answering questions out loud in class, doing everything right. Give them the test, they fail.
Right.
Right? After the test, you ask them a question that was on the test, they can tell you the answer. But when it's time to take the test, because test anxiety is a real thing, and I address that in the book as well, because the ADHD comes from that, and related to math, it comes from that because they're, what I'm saying, they're literally scared of the math, so they don't pay attention to it. They don't, what I'm saying, they just kind of block it out. because they're literally scared of it. And so your child, he doesn't pay attention in math. He doesn't do this, or he acts out in math because he's literally scared of it. It's a real thing. And so I address that in the book as well, and being able to identify it and some things that you can do to help. The main thing is the preparation, and then the second thing is the most important thing, which is the belief in the preparation. Right? If your child has been studying all day, but and they don't believe that, they've been they've been studying the right way, but they don't believe that they're ready, then they're not going to be ready. It don't matter how long they've been in the room studying or doing whatever, or with a tutor. If they don't believe that they're ready, then they're not going to perform.
Mhm.
And so building up that belief, building up that confidence from the fact that you know that they prepared for 2 hours or 6 hours or whatever, and then going forth and executing calmly. That's the other part too. They have to execute calmly. So they taking, what I'm saying, they stretching, they taking regular breaths, keeping their thoughts calm while they execute the test. They doing those three things, then they'll perform well on the test. Every time they perform well on the test, math anxiety and test anxiety goes down, because your fear goes down once you go through something. You know what I mean? When I was in college, I pledged the fraternity, and I was scared a lot of times. But when you go through it, every day it gets a little bit better. But you just have to be prepared and believe that you're going to make it through, and then when you do, it gets better. And so that part is addressed in the book. Now, as it relates to ADHD that is diagnosed, then that's more of a medical thing, and there's counselors and doctors and all that deal with that a whole lot more than I can do in the book.
Thank you for that. So the M and the O is you said it's motivate and optimize, right?
Right. The MOVE method stands for motivation, motivate, optimize, verify, and empower. Those four things. You're doing those things with your child. So you're motivating the child by finding out what either their extrinsic motivation or their intrinsic motivating, because you know your child better than everybody, and the only people that you have to deal with is your child or your children, whereas a teacher has to deal with anywhere from 35 to 150 students daily. Okay, so although we love the children and we want the best for them, our love is spread thin. You know what I mean? It's like having a little bit of peanut butter, but you got to spread it over a whole loaf of bread. You going to try to make sure every loaf of bread gets some peanut butter, but you ain't going to get as much as, you know what I mean, if I had left slices of bread to spread. So you have to look at it that way. And so, and then when you're optimizing, you're putting your child on a schedule, you're working on time management skills, you're setting goals, you're doing those things so that when they are at home and it's time to do work, every minute is optimized for them getting that information and being able to uh, retain it and be able to return it when necessary. And then you verifying, right? So you got them studying, you got them motivated. Now you verify that they're doing what they say that they're doing. Um, and then the last thing is that you're empowering them. You're empowering them by you might create, we call it a we're fostering a growth mindset. That's the buzzwords that we use. So basically, we don't really stress the child's achievement more than we celebrate the child's effort.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we come down on them for making a 60, but last week they made a 40, but we still treating them the same way, then we are not, developing a growth mindset. If we like, man, you know what I'm saying? I thought it was going to be a higher, but you did better than last week. So we'll take that. Now, you can't go out and buy them a PS5 because they made a 60. No, you can't do that. but you can recognize and celebrate the fact that they're showing growth and encourage them to keep trying so they can get to where they need to get. So those are things as well. And so, um, one thing I say in the book is that why does the fireman run into the fire? Why does the soldier run in the battle? He runs in the battle because he trusts his gear, but he also knows that he has people behind him that has his back. The same thing with your child when you send him off to school. If he knows that his parents at home or his support system at home has his back, then he's gonna run in there and do his job. But if he doesn't feel that way, he or she doesn't feel that way, then they will not, you know, perform well. And parents have the biggest impact on that. And so that's what the book is about. And that's why I feel it's so important, because a lot of parents don't know the impact that they have. You know what I mean? I mean, like, think about you raising your child. You raising your child in two directions. You're either A, doing the things that your parents did to you that you liked, or you are not doing those things in your child because you didn't like them, right? So your parents are impacting the way you are teaching your kids, right? And you don't even, you know what I'm saying? You don't even think about that your own parents have an impact on you. So if your parents have an impact on you, then you had the same, if not more, impact on your child. So you have to look at, so you have the superpower. The parents have the superpower. You know, because they see you every day. They idolize you. They've been idolizing you because you're the first thing that they see. So you have to use that to your advantage to help your child, reach their full potential.
That's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So does Miss Bridget have a question? You're on the air. Okay. Well, if you have a question, feel free to come in. Ms. Danica, thank you for participating, asking questions. Those were all relevant questions. And Mr. Gerald, he um, answered those questions, spot on. And so, as something else comes up, feel free to ask another question. But I appreciate you sharing that, because I taught math too,
Oh,
as
okay.
a math teacher,
Hmm.
and I'll tell you that encouragement, empowerment of those students, it goes a long way. And I'll give you this example. I used to call the students parents while in class and say, "Hey, your child is acting up. They don't want to pay attention. They're not coming to the board." Call them right there, live and in color. And and then I switched it. And I started calling parents when the students were doing right. I'm like, man,
Right.
I'm still, calling them and say, "Hey, your son is doing real well in class today. I'm so proud of him. Here he is right now. You can talk to him." Right?
Right.
And the mom was like, "I'm so proud. I'll see you when you get home." And then it'll have a ripple effect.
Hmm.
And the
Yeah.
other kids were like, "Miss Muhammad, can you call my mom and tell her I'm doing good too?"
Yeah.
And-
Exactly. Yeah.
and-
And you know what that does? That creates a positive learning environment where your kids feel safe in your class, and they're not going to try. There's a saying that we have as educators, and we say that students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So
Mm-hmm.
they have to know that you care about them, right? They have to know that, and they know that by the things that you do, and you take some time to create those relationships with. You ask questions about you know things that interest them, what they want to be when they grow up, things they like to do, things they don't like to do, whatever. And so those things, those questions, they're important, right? And if you remember them, you're not just asking them just to say you asked them, but if you remember them and you incorporate them into your lessons, then that child knows that you genuinely care about them. And so they will try for you. They'll run through a wall for you if you ask them to. Of course, don't do that. We're not going to do it, but they will. They will. They will try for you. And if you can get your whole class or your classes to believe that, they will all do that. And the only thing I want them to do, I don't want them running through no walls. I just want them to try, because I'm a pretty good teacher. So if you're willing to try, you're gonna reach all kinds of heights, whatever height that you want to go to.
Mhm.
So and the other thing that you can do, I have goal setting in there. We use a concept called the a SMART goal, which stands for my definition, a little bit different than the actual definition when you look it up. It's called mine is specific, measurable, um, actionable, realistic, and timely. Right? It has to be a specific goal. You can't just say I want to be a better math. I want to do better in math. That's not specific, because you can't quantify the word better. You have to give it. You want to have a 85 average, something like that. And
Mhm.
then it also has to be you know a measurable, right? Where are you now and where you want to be. So it has to be measurable. And the other thing is, it has to be actionable. You have to do something, right? And what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? You're going to study more. Well, what does that mean? It goes back to specific. Well, I'm going to study, 2 hours a day, or I'm going to do 5 problems, a day, whatever, right? The next thing that it has to be realistic, right? If you never made an A in math before, don't make an A your goal. Let's go for a B, a low B or a high B or something like that, because it has to be realistic. You know what I mean? And then once you get to B, then you can go for the A. But if you go for the A first and you don't get there, then you pretty much shooting yourself in the foot. And the last thing, it has to be timely. So when do you want to reach this goal? I'm going to reach this goal by this date. And then you have intermittent goals in place along with your SMART goal to help you reach that. You know what I'm saying? So where am I after 2 weeks? Where am I after, you know, 4 weeks? Where am I, halfway? Blah, blah, blah. And then you know what to do to adjust. When I was growing up, I was always bored. I never had anything to do. And the reason why was because I had no goals. You know what I mean? I didn't have a goal. There was nothing that I really thought about wanting to do and how to set a goal. But once I got older and was like, hey, you know what? I want to be able to do 100 push-ups, or I want to be able to finish reading this book by this date, or whatever. And so now I got things to do for me, and you find yourself doing those things, and you get better at it, right? I tell my students, and it's in the book as well, being great is not doing something big. Being great is like just doing one thing better, the one thing more than you did the day before. That's it. You did 5 Monday, we're going to do 6 today. That's it. Then tomorrow we'll go for 7. If we don't get 7, we get 6.5. Hey, guess what? That's progress, right? And then after 3 months, when everybody else was only able to do 5, and now you able to do 50, right? They'd be like, oh my God, how are you able to do 50? You are not doing 50. You're just doing one more than what you did the day before. And then that's it. So you have to look at it that way. And that's how you move kids. You don't move kids by trying to take these long leaps. No. You know what I'm saying? We was at 60 today. We're going to be at 61 and a half by the end of the week. Then we're going to be at 62. And then we're going to, you know what I mean? That's it. You take, Rome wasn't built in a day. So but you just keep working to build to make it great. And that's what you have to do with your child. Right? And it's not easy. And that's the other thing I put in the book, is that you have to have consistency, right? I have 5 kids. I got 4 girls, 1 son. My first 3 girls, oh my God, I didn't have to do nothing with them. They just did school, all of them. They took AP classes. They did all those kinds. I ain't had to do nothing with them. I didn't have to help them with their homework. They just got that junk. But my son, he going to the 8th grade, man. Let me tell you, you know what I'm saying? We gotta work with this stuff. You know what I mean? We got to. I gotta put in time. You know what I mean? Because how I'm gonna be an educator and try to tell people how to teach their kids and all this kind of stuff, and my child failing at home. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna buy my book, so I gotta do, you know what I'm saying? I got to put my money where my mouth is too. So, but it's hard, you know what I'm saying? I got to, so you got to set a schedule for you as well. You have I have a calendar that reminds me when school starts, okay, you know what I'm saying? 6:30, we got to go over this boy's homework. It don't matter if I got to tutor some kids later or I got to put down what I'm doing, but this is what I got to do. This is my time that I have set for it. Me and him, we're going to get this done and it's going to be consistent. So he don't have to be playing his video game and I got to go get him. I might have to go do that in the beginning, but after a while, he recognized that at 6:30, we're about to do this math or we're going to do reading or whatever it is that he has homework in. But it's like I said, it's going to be hard in the beginning. It's going to be hard in the beginning. But, you know, anything worth having is worth working hard for. So you just keep pushing. And then the next thing you know, if you do something every day for, was it 7 days? If you do something every day for 7 days, on the eighth day, you will want to do it. You'll want to do it. Like if you get up in the morning and you do some type of exercise or drink water every day for 7 days in the morning. On the eighth day, you're gonna want that water. You're gonna want it. And so that's the same thing with this. You just do it every day. You know what I'm saying? It gets hard in the beginning. It's hard, but every day it gets a little easier. And by the eighth day, you want to do it. You don't even need an alarm clock. It's 6:30. Let me go get that boy. You know what I mean? And that's how. But that's how you do it.
So, Gerald, can you talk about the importance of celebrating those small victories?
Oh yes. Um, but that's what you have to do. That's creating a growth mindset, right? Um, you know, we sometimes we put too much expectations on our child, and when they don't meet it, we make them feel that they failed. But if they're struggling and you're making them feel like they failed, then the struggle is going to continue. But if you let them know that the chain is wrapped around them tight, but now it's a little bit looser, now it's a little bit more looser, a little bit more loose, and then you don't have a chain anymore. And so you celebrate those wins. You know what I mean? Just like when your child was little and they said they had to go potty and they went upstairs and went potty, right? You know,
Mhm.
what you do a little potty dance, you do all little crazy stuff to let the child know that they did something great, right? They didn't really do nothing great. They just went to the bathroom. But you know what I'm saying? You celebrate. Yeah, but it's the same thing with that. They did their homework, they bring it home, or they took a test, they bring it home, and they've been making 50s and 40s, and they bring home a 75. Oh my goodness, right? That's progress, right? We're gonna celebrate that. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna celebrate that, but we're gonna push for an 85. We're gonna keep pushing for an 85, but we're gonna take this 75 right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you celebrate the small wins, and that gives the child confidence to try. That gives you like, you know what, hey, you know what? I made that 75. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if we can make that 85. How about this? If you make an 85, we go into, I don't know, his favorite restaurant or whatever. You make an 85 on the next test, we're gonna do this. And he's gonna make it probably a 90. You know what I mean? Because he know he can make a 75. And now you're pushing for an 85, probably outdo that. And now you got a child that's, he's on his way. You know what I mean? The only issue is going to happen is that, of course, the content is going to get harder, right? You know, is the content is going to get harder. So it ain't going to be easy from now on because he done got out of this little pit. But now he's going into something else, which might put him in a deeper pit. But you just have to just keep working with him and come out and to get him out of it. Because just because he's doing good in math this week or this month, that's not going to continue because the content is going to get harder. That's just how math is.
So I have a question regarding to technology. So my son has just been granted the ability to have technology. And so do you have any recommendations on any math programs or games as we talk about motivating? Because, like, what games around math have you found that is helpful in helping them also excel in that topic?
Okay. The one thing that I have found, and it's free for everybody, it's called Ed Puzzle. And so you just go to edpuzzle.com, and it has all kinds of videos, and they have fun videos, all kinds of videos about just about everything. And so they got math and science, social studies, or whatever. But the one thing that I find is that um, it has teaching. Uh, it has stuff in it related to whatever the child is learning, and it has questions as well. And so that mm, uh, it creates something interactive. So they're not just listening to somebody talk or whatever. Um, I don't know. You kind of remember when with Dora would say something and then she would stop,
Yeah.
right? Because she was looking for you to say whatever was, the thing was. And it made the show interactive. When all the other shows, it just kind of just gave you the answer and kept going. And so it's the same thing with Ed Puzzle. So it makes the learning more interactive, and it helps the child to to both, once they learn it, they'll be able to retain it, and then be able to return it later. So yeah, I definitely recommend the Ed Puzzle. There's there's all the others. There's uh, Nearpod as well. Um, there's Flippity. There's a lot of them out there, and a lot of them they're free. So I recommend you just doing your research, because you have to find the ones that your child is going to like. You know, so you just keep looking, doing the research, and when you find something, be like, "Hey, I found this. What you think about this?" They might be like, "Nah, mom." You'd be like, "Turn. Well, that's what Mr. Gerald said to do." So if you research and find your own, and or do it together as a project, finding math games.
Good stuff. Good stuff, Gerald. I appreciate you, man. So tell our listeners how, because you like, I'm looking in here, say you are a godsend. You're a teacher and a student. How can people get a hold of you?
Oh, well, yes, they can definitely get a hold of me through my social media, also by my company's website. My company is the Bodie Learning Academy. And the Bodie Learning Academy, we do virtual and in-person tutoring of math and science. And that is the website is Bodhi, Bodhi, learningacademy.net. That's my website. Um, you can see videos and instructional strategies on my Instagram page, which is Mr. C's World Math World. Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah, Mr. C's Math World. Um, if you want to contact me for any speaking engagements, you can contact me through my website, as well as my uh, Facebook page, which is GC for Life, LYFE, on Facebook. And, we can and I'm more than willing to come in to speak at PTO meetings, church, uh, you know, church meetings, things like that, as well, because this is a major issue, and no one is helping parents. No one is helping parents. You guys are out there on the island, and so um, somebody got to throw you a lifeline, and that's what I'm doing.
Well, we appreciate that. Any other questions for Mr. Cummings before we wrap up? Oh my gosh.
Well, Mr. Cummings, would you like to share like a success story that you have? I see in here you actually have, it looks like a parent that has used this method. Any other success stories that you could close us out on?
Oh, sure. I I've been a teacher for a while and got into the tutoring space around COVID. And I started my tutoring around during COVID, and I had a a client who was doing very poorly in math. She was failing tests, um, and her confidence was just really really low. And I came in and we worked together. We didn't start working together till like February, no, November, something like that, November. And so we started working together in November. And then when she took her EOGs in April, she made a 4, which is the highest you could make in math. Um, and so that's one of my success stories because she was really really, she didn't have confidence, you know, and when you have confidence, you're halfway there. As adults, we know that. If you know, you can walk. Don't do this, but you can walk in a store, grab something, or if you wanted to go into the back of the store, if you look like you supposed to be there, nobody's gonna say anything to you. But if you looking around, wondering if somebody see you, what you doing, you know, but if you look like you're supposed to be back there and just walk back there, you know what I'm saying, with confidence, you can pretty much do that. Um, don't do that though. You might run across the security guard or something, But for the most part, you can, and that's the same thing that I try to do with my clients, is that I empower them and give them confidence, and then they're willing to try. They'll try with me in the tutoring sessions, and I give them praise about the little things, and then give them praise about the big things. So then when they go to school, right, then the teacher's going to give them praise because they're surprised about the amount of growth they have. So yeah, I've had a lot of success, both tutoring as well as teaching. I have a kind of a non-traditional way of teaching, because I remember being in school and how I was taught, and you know I don't want anybody to have to go through that. So if I can avoid that, if I can help them avoid that, then I will.
Okay, so Gerald, give us, before we close out, tell us a little bit more, about the book, the Move Method, where they can get it, when should we expect to see it?
Okay.
Um,
Right. Yeah. The Move Method, a parent's handbook to your child's success in math. We are looking for a soft publishing the first week of September, where we can take pre-orders and things like that. And then there will be a book signing event, and then the book will go live on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And then I'll also have some copies as well to be to sell as well. But there'll be a lot of um, book signing events to promote the book as well.
well, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Before we, like I say, that's it. This has been an amazing moment, Gerald. Congratulations on the book. Congratulations on the success of your commitment to students and helping parents relieve that anxiety that my kid. I need my son to learn math. I need him to do better. I need to build his confidence. And you stepped in and you've done really well. and we appreciate you. We want to thank you for taking the time to write the book. And so with that being said, we want to close out. Hold, let me see. Wants to talk. Hold on. Let me see. Anyway, we're this is it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you heard it here. The MOVE method: motivate, optimize, verify, and empower. The MOVE method by Gerald Cummings, providing parents with an opportunity to have the tools and the resources available to give their child the boost of confidence that they need to be successful students. I'm Chad Franklin.
Let's go. They said I wouldn't make it, but I'm here now. And I'm here,
I'm here to stay, baby.
go down.
Yes, the champ is here.
'Cause I'm a champion.
And we're helping families, we're helping moms, we're helping
'Cause
parents.
I'm a champion.
Yep.
'Cause I'm a champion. A champion.
Yes, tune in Mondays and Wednesdays, 8 o'clock. I'm here now, baby. I'm here. And again, make sure you reach out to Gerald, GC70 on Facebook, Instagram, BodieLearningAcademy.net. And I'm Champ Franklin, and this has been our show.
Let's go. They said I wouldn't make it, but
Have
I'm
a great
here
week.
now.
Be safe. Remember, the sky's the limit.
And I'm
Don't
here,
stop on the
go
moon.
down.
Last thing,
'Cause I'm a champion.
vulnerability is the birthplace for intimate relationships. Make sure you provide that safe space for your partner and for your friends and your children. That's it. Thank you all so much for attending the show, and we'll see you next week.